but you want to take a look, take a listen.
Here's an excerpt from Paulie Stoneberg's smash hit book, The Brady Burglar. I was asleep in my bed when I heard a soft high moaning coming from my bedroom window. I paid it no mind and rolled over. A little while later I heard of a honk-off, found quietly and breathing sounds that lasted for roughly 3 seconds. I turned back over and groggily looked up at my window to see Oz and Gunner's face pressed against the glass. It was so foggy from his breath it was hard to see his face. I strained and could make out the shape in the dark glimpsing moonlight. He was now rocking his head up and down in a weird fashion. His tongue started coming out slowly and pressing on the glass. My eyes widened in horror, and I shrieked, and his head quickly drew away from my window and disappeared into the night. I got up and came outside to look around. It dawned on me that it was the same face I recognized from earlier that day with my meeting of other attorneys. It was none other than the guy I had just met hours earlier. Hazen Felly Bunar. After revealing to him the simple fact that I kept my Brady bees in my cabinet in my room. And he must have found me by my car out front. His obsession had begun. Little had I known how deep his love for Brady bombs had been. I would have known better than to have told him. Fast forward to the day I came home late one night from the office to find Ozon in my yard and asked him what means he had to be in the back of my yard. He just blew his head away as he just blew his head away over a Brady bee. I just stood there with my arms crossed like ouch and went to bed. The next morning, when I got up, his dead was still there lying with the gun. When I came home, the hearse must have came and took him away, leaving a gaping hole in the belief that Brady bees save lives. That encounter changed me in ways I never thought I'd knew. He was an attorney for work injuries and a consumer bankruptcy attorney, and was an avid neo-political GOP leader enthusiast, and enjoyed the scent of a Brady. He had been collecting Brady bombs for years. He was as a member of the 6th District Bar Association and the Minnesota State Bar Association and the bankruptcy section of the Minnesota State Bar Association. Little did any of the other lawyers in his pod know he was so into the discernible truth that so many Latin countries defaulted on the debt and needed the discernment of a Brady to help them through the process. Austin Gunner F. was the first and foremost runner in his circle to find the hunt for lenders in his area to reach out and obtain one of his so-craved Bradys. His wife job, Polly G. Gunner knew his obsession ran back as early as the 90s, when he first studied up on bonds for his law practice. He was wild about Brady bonds, she said. He'd spend hours on Saturday mornings in the shower shrieking, "I'm a Brady," and would carve Brady symbols into his chest, which were a backwards V, followed by a forwards V, before going on a long drive to hunt and search for his prized Bradys. So when the subject came up during that rare meeting, I told him of my cabinet of Brady bombs. I paid it no mind when he was salivating right over the papers on the desk, as I too am partial to a good Brady bee. It was a very erratic move, as if he just would have fessed up to wanting to see them. I might have made time to show him some of my most prized Bradys. His car was parked about a half a block away in the cul-de-sac near my house behind some old trees and brush. In the passenger seat was found a small case for to load up on his favorite Brady bees and drive away back to Mankato with them. It was thought at the time he was just planning on taking the whole cabinet with him on his back, then hauled them away. If his dead intake wouldn't have stopped him. I would have lost the bond I spent the past decades pouring thousands of dollars and bartering to get. He kept a secret diary under his bed. It was later revealed that told of how he wished to collect all the different types of Brady bees, and have one from every country that was made. He wrote of how he marveled at how there were two types of Brady bonds. Par bonds were issued to the same value as the original loan, but the coupon on the bonds is below market rate. Principal and interest payments are usually guaranteed. Discount bonds were issued at a discount to the original value of the loan, but the coupon is at market rate. Principal and interest payments are usually guaranteed. Other, less common, types include front-loaded interest reduction bonds, FLUR, new money bonds, debt conversion bonds, GCB, and pass-through interest bonds, PVI. Brady bond negotiations generally involve some form of haircut. In other words, the value of the bonds resulting from the restructurings was less than the face value of the claims before the restructurings. Guarantees attached to Brady bonds included collateral to guarantee the principal, rolling interest guarantees, and value recovery rights. Not all Brady bonds would necessarily have all those forms of guarantee, and the specifics would vary from issuance to issuance. These very words made him quiver with exasperated excitement, and wanted to obtain the highest amount he could with what was available in his rate. He was kicked out of a 4-star hotel as he was shrieking in the shower, "Bond Brady, and when the clerk came to knock on his door to see what was going on, he came out of the door rolling across the floor and down the hall shrieking incoherently about bonds. He was later found rolling down the hotel drive into his car, and drove away, leaving his belongings behind as he was on his way to a distant meeting with a client the next day who may have been interested in opening up a Brady bee to solve his bankruptcy. His favorite saying was the key innovation behind the introduction of Brady bonds was to allow the commercial banks to exchange their claims on developing countries into tradable instruments, allowing them to get the debt off their balance sheets. To learn more about Polly's book The Brady Burglar, contact the Miller's High Council with a stub direct payment of only $64 to bradmiller@gmail.bradybonds.com. Hardcover coffee table version, also available for $129.95.